Alright guys, welcome back to the garage. Thursday, May the 27th, 2021, and it's been a while since I've actually been out in the garage to resume work on the 1968 Triumph TR250 project. I did bring the TR6 home a couple of weeks ago, and I've been enjoying driving that a little bit. Obviously did some work on it to get it ready for the driving season. I've also got the Harley-Davidson Road King out, did some prep work on that for the spring to get that ready for the summer driving season, and that is now out of the way. So we are back to working on the TR250 project. Now, one of the challenges has been over the past couple of weeks, the weather has not really been cooperating as far as getting paint and bodywork done on the TR250. I was waiting for the weather to change for the better, and the weather's been really up and down here. It's been a lot of rain and a lot of wild temperature swings. For example, Monday we had a high of 90 plus with the humidity here, and tomorrow it drops down to just below 50, I think a high of 48 Fahrenheit. It's about 9 degrees Celsius tomorrow as the high, so it's pretty tough to paint in these type of conditions. So we're having to do the prep work to get to that point anyway. So as you can see here, we've got the boot lid, the trunk lid out on the stands outside in the garage here, and we started to do a little bit of body work on the inside. You may recall that this trunk lid had a large patch brazed in the bottom, and you can probably see the overlaid material here on the bottom that I did not take out. So it was a pretty solidly brazed patch, so I just left it, but there are some visible lines here where you can see the brazing from the inside of the trunk lid. So we're just trying to take care of that with a little bit of body work. So I've got a couple of coats of filler on here, and we're just going to do another coat of filler and get that sanded down before we get back into applying some black epoxy primer over the top of that to seal that body work in before we go to some high build primer. Alright guys, now Sunday and back on the boot lid for the Triumph TR250. I didn't get out here yesterday. We had a good day yesterday afternoon in the Rusty Beauty's garage, and now we're back out here to put one more coat of Bondo on here, and we'll sand that off to, I believe, about 180 to 220 grit before we hit it again with a coat of the black epoxy primer. Alright, not sure if I've mentioned this already, but we're also going to do the inner support for the boot lid. So we've got it up here. We've started to strip it down a little bit. I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to finish up some of the areas with sandblasting. So we've just got our portable bucket set up outside here on the grass, and we're going to hit a few of the areas which is a little more difficult to get to with a grinder or a sander or a DA. It is a little bit rusty in areas, you can see here, so it'd be good to sandblast that down to nice clean bare fresh metal before we give it a coat of epoxy at the same time as we recoat the inside of the boot lid. So that's what we're up to. Alright guys, we're just about to spray the black epoxy primer, and we've got the support structure sanded down, cleaned up, the inside of the boot sanded down, cleaned up, ready for primer. So we're just about to mix some primer up. So the intent is to spray the black epoxy primer coat, then we'll let that flash off, and then we're going to go directly to a high build coat. We'll come back when we do that, but first things first, let's get the epoxy primer sprayed out again, and we'll come back after that. It's been about an hour and a half. We've let this epoxy flash off and dry enough for us to move on to the next step, which is going to be a primer. And I just wanted to give you a quick discussion on what primer I'm using. So for the interior of the panels, I'm not going to go too crazy. I'm just going to use a regular urethane high build primer, and we've got this U-Pole 2025, I think it is, or 2258V. You can see the label there anyway. So it's a high build urethane primer. It's mixed as a primer. It's mixed 4 to 1 to 1. So 4 parts primer, 1 part hardener, 1 part reducer. For the external panels, so the fenders, the tops of the boot lid, and the bonnet are going to first get a coat of polyester, or a few coats of polyester primer. So we're going to be using the Featherfield G2 for that. Block that down before we proceed back to using a high build urethane primer on top of that. Block that down before we go to our base and clear coat. So that's the primers I'm using. So all in all, pretty much for the external panels, we're going to be doing obviously epoxy primer first, And then we're going to be doing the Featherfill G2, so the polyester primer, followed up again with a high build primer, urethane primer. Then usually what we'll do is go back and we'll do a sealer coat of the epoxy primer. So a lot of primering, lots of sanding to get to the base coat, clear coat stage. So it's all in the prep and not so much about the paint. All right, guys, just wanted to give you one last shot of this for the night. It's coming up to 6:30. And I'm just about to go in and watch the NASCAR race. Anyway, this is primed. 3 coats of high build primer, high build urethane primer. Again, not the polyester, just the regular primer. And we got the bottom of the trunk boot lid done as well. And it looks not too bad. A little bit of a run in the middle section. And a couple of dents here and there that I missed. There's one dent over here. I don't know if you're going to be able to see that or not, but right there. A little bit of a dent, we'll have to fill that up. A little piece of trash in here, we'll sand that out. Other than that, it looks pretty good. My bodywork looks pretty good. So we're happy with that. Anyway, it's going to be an extremely short video for today, but I've had some people asking me what I've been doing since I haven't uploaded for a little while, specifically any TR250 related content. So here is some 250 content. So what I'll do tomorrow is I will flip this over and I will start sanding down that black epoxy primer on the top side of the boot lid in order to scratch it up or scuff it up enough to get my first coats of polyester primer on the exterior of that panel. So moving on to paint, again, weather dependent on whether it can actually paint out here. It's warm, I think, for the next day, and then it goes cold again, so I'll probably have to hold off for a couple days, which is okay. I can let the primer cure a little bit out here before I start sanding on it. So I'll take advantage of the warm weather and spray when I can, and of course on the cold days where I can't, there's not much I can do about it. Anyway, that's it for tonight, guys. I just wanted to let you know I am still out here. I haven't given up on the project, but again, this is kind of weather dependent and time dependent, so it will get done when it gets done. All right, guys, that's it for tonight. Thanks for watching. Thanks for subscribing, and we'll talk to you later.